Hi everyone and welcome to AWS Community Nordics Community Leaders Chat. My name is Gunnar Grosch and I am a developer advocate at AWS, and I am joined here by 4 of the Nordic community leaders. So most people probably already know who you are, but let's do the usual presentation. So Angela first, how are you?
Hey, all good, all good. Just watch the keynote from Werner. We weren't sure when it's gonna be done, so now we are here. But yeah, short introduction about
Now
myself.
we're here.
Sorry, you couldn't hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I think I have a lag. Yeah, so introduction about myself. I'm Angela. I'm based in Copenhagen, and I'm one of the organizer of AWS community in Copenhagen. I'm also an AWS serverless hero, and yeah, I work as a data platform manager at Trustpilot, and I'm super happy to be here and chat more with you guys.
All right, thank you. So next, Anders. Welcome to the stream, Anders.
Yeah, hello everyone from Norway here, AWS Hero running the user groups in Norway. This is my first ReInvent virtual, but that's my 9th one, I think, if I counted it right in total. So strange way of doing this. Day-to-day working as a consultant with a lot of different customers through Norway and Sweden mainly. So looking forward to chatting to you.
All right, thank you, Anders. Let's continue with Lezgin. Welcome to the stream, Lezgin.
Thank you. I'm Lezgin, part of the AWS Builders, Community Builders, working at NA Wellington as a Security and Innovation Manager, and based in Stockholm in Sweden.
You have a great view behind you. What's that?
It's my loft. It's where the bed is, and some Christmas lights there.
All right, it's nice. So over to Finland then, and Rolle. Welcome, Rolle.
Hey, good to be here. So hailing from Finland, working at Cybercom, CTO of Cybercom AWS Business Group, community leader in the Helsinki user group, and I've been also known to travel around quite a lot, or I used to when things were normal. So I was helping out in Stockholm, Gothenburg, Malmö, Copenhagen, like all around, like helping the user groups wherever I could. Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's continue with you then, Rolle. We've just seen Werner's keynote. So just in short, what did you think about the keynote? Quite different format this year.
Yeah, for sure. It was like different. Maybe like if someone would have asked me before it started, I would have like maybe anticipated something similar that what we saw in the keynote series. But I guess, like, considering that Werner is the only natively not from United States, it kind of makes sense that they needed to kind of take it to some other direction. And I guess that taking it totally to other direction is then a good choice, because then it's like obvious for the viewers also that now we're doing something different. And yeah, you could clearly see that this was like pre-recorded. But I don't know if that actually made that much of a difference, because like now watching all of the keynotes and this concluding the keynote series this year, all of those keynotes were like they were really well rehearsed, really like the storylines were well written, and I think that same applies here today as well. Someone thought, or Werner probably was one of the key persons in the team writing naturally the script, but it was clear that there were like also professionals from directing and writing perspective involved. So yeah, really good execution. I have been absolutely like happy with the implementations this year. Like like few glitches in the stream here and there, but nothing too major, and those could have probably been like local to my network or something like that. So I think considering the situation, everything has worked relatively well.
Relatively well. That's pretty good, I think. So the rest of you, what did you think about Werner's keynote? Anders?
Yeah, sure. As Rolf said, it was a completely different one. So I think in one way it was kind of okay, and we for sure know a lot about sugar factories as well. I think the drawback for maybe for some of us, which sometimes people tend to forget, is that there is a lot of non-native English speakers out there. So the total lack of slides, drawings, keynotes on a slide deck, stuff like that, makes it harder for people to remember what it's actually talking about. So I felt I had to concentrate a lot more when watching it, because I don't have any visuals to grab onto as he's talking. So, but besides that, it was a typical Werner keynote. Not a lot of news, unfortunately. As with the rest of ReInvent, we had a lot of previews, not general availability news as well. So a good keynote in total at ReInvent. Actually, the infrastructure keynote is still my favorite from all these years.
And why is that, Anders?
I find it fascinating to really listen to the infrastructure people who have built AWS from ground up. And remembering James Hamilton started off with some small talks early, and then into his keynote, and kind of seeing what's underneath everything. So that's kind of an insight into this you can get kind of only in those sessions. But Werner is saying a lot of very, very good and sensible stuff, but it's kind of also things other people are talking about. So the infrastructure ones are kind of more exclusive.
Angela, then, talking about both Rolf and Anders mentioned that there were some releases as well. Were there any service releases that you noted down, things you want to try out straight away?
Yeah, I mean, there weren't that many releases, but as Anas mentioned, it's usually the case with Werner's keynote. But I'm super excited to try the Grafana managed service, because we use Grafana and Prometheus, so I want to give it a try and get my hands on the preview when it's going to be available. And then I know, Gunnar, you are very excited about the chaos engineering and info injecting fault. And I think everyone should be excited about that one. I'm super curious about trying that one. And I was actually texting with one of my colleagues while Werner announced that. And we're like, oh my God, we can actually test these things without just deploying to production and hope for the best in some of the situations. So that one, I think it's a great release that I want to try. And I think it's in January it will be available, right? Or something like that.
Early 2021.
Yeah. Those are the two releases that I'm excited about.
Yeah, and you're definitely right. I am very excited about fault injection simulator. So having a managed service for chaos engineering built into the AWS platform, that's awesome for everyone building reliable systems. So Lezgin then, I saw you writing in the AWS Community Nordics Slack about a few releases. So tell us about what you're excited about.
No, I'm also excited about the chaos engineering as a service. It's something that we've been talking about for like a year or so, but we haven't had time for it. And hopefully it's going to be easy to just put in and test. We're still in the phase that we're doing a lot of load tests, but we are not really tearing bits and pieces down. We're just finding what the next piece we need to tweak on, and not the more interesting scenarios, or what to say. But yeah, I think it's I totally. I was expecting a little bit more from Werner, but as you all say, it's on the same level as before. But my expectations for every year is still a bit higher that will pop up. Maybe Anders should save some services for Dr. Werner. But yeah, but compared to last year, I would say this year keynote is a lot better. I think it was a very abrupt end in that keynote, and it was a little bit weird. I think it was some fails also during that presentation. So definitely a lot more rehearsed.
Last year,
as Rolf said,
there was only one major release during Werner's keynote, and that was the Builders Library, which of course is a huge release to have. And Builders Library is perhaps an important release for anyone building with cloud on AWS. But this year there were a few releases. Another service that I'm really interested in is Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell, which then makes it easier to use a shell within AWS console, which is something that a lot of customers have talked about or asked for before. So that's awesome for AWS to then release that as a service.
Yeah, and the Cloud Shell, I took a quick look at that, and as someone pointed out also in the Nordics Community Slack channel, that it's not like VPC connected, and I'm not even sure that if it's ever going to be, if that is like the use case for that. But the thing to keep in mind that maybe like the primary use case there is to kind of bring the CLI more closer to people to use kind of directly from the console with the integrated user rights. And I think that like someone with an engineering background, I don't think that it has been too difficult to set up all those AWS keys and like using AWS Vault and those kind of tools to manage the access. But like doing a quick thing with the CLI, with the familiar tool right from the dashboard is kind of, I think it's like a good idea to bring those together like a more integrated solution for sure.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also, just to let people know, of course, is that if you want to join in and ask questions to Lezgin, to Rolf, to Angela, or to Anders, join the AWS Community Nordics Slack. You have it on the banner right now. There's a link in the description as well, and just ask your questions in the ReInvent channel in that Slack. So looking at ReInvent then from a larger picture, not only Werner's keynote. So this is the first virtual AWS ReInvent. How has it been to watch ReInvent from your home or from your office? Lezgin.
Yeah, I definitely attended a lot more sessions without running in between the different hotels. But I feel the lacking of the social part, and of like, sure, it's fun to party in Vegas, but not so exciting after three years. But like the social part to connect with everybody is the bit I'm missing. But in general, I think it works quite good because I'm attending a lot more right now, and if I miss a session, I know it's going to pop up on Friday. So from that perspective, I think it's been quite good. But yeah, missing the social side.
Angela.
Yeah, I want to say that it's definitely different this year compared to previous years when we're going to Vegas. For me, it's actually different. I watch less sessions now than when I was in Vegas, and it's probably because like I didn't got like time off from work, so I still need to do my normal job, and after that to watch sessions. And I've been doing that the first week, but the second week I was quite tired, to be honest. And I watched, I think in the second week, I just watched the ML keynote and during the infrastructure keynote, and that was kind of it. I was like, I'll watch the sessions later because I knew they will be made available. But yeah, the fact that I'm at home, and I like, when you're in Vegas, you're just doing reInvent because the time zone difference and all of that kind of makes you focus on that. And yeah, the social part, that's definitely missing. But it's nice to have like chats like this where we can still comment, and in Slack as well to like write our comments and talk to other people that are interested in this, because that's what we do in Vegas. Like we all meet on the hallway or something, and then we say like, oh, go to that session or that one is great, like watch it out. So yeah, it's different, it's something else, but it was still good to have this because there's so much information there.
There is definitely. Anders, I know you have to drop off soon, so I want to ask you about your highlights from reInvent this year. What are the things that you'll take with you straight after reInvent? Things you want to try out, or things you've learned throughout these 3 weeks?
Actually, it's I haven't had time to digest everything because, as Angela is saying, I not had the opportunity to focus on this conference. I've seen the keynotes, I've seen some sessions, but being at home, people are expecting things at work and stuff like that really makes it messy. So first week I attended some really good sessions, and last week I actually didn't attend any sessions due to calendar constraints. So I haven't sorted out my favorites yet. Have been too busy with other projects in this, unfortunately. So as Angela is saying, missing being in Vegas and being able to focus on both networking, but also kind of focusing on what's being released and think about what to take home. So I think that's the takeaway from me here. And as you're saying, I have to be off in a few minutes here because, yeah, being at home and having families and friends around also takes time.
But you couldn't do that in Las Vegas. Couldn't jump from talking to us straight into meeting others. So there's something at least.
Sure, nice being here.
Yeah, just short, Anders, first. Tell us about the AWS Hero way of watching reInvent. I'm not sure if everyone knows about what you all got as a surprise from AWS.
Yeah, you're talking about we got a 3D Oculus to try out to meet in a virtual city and stuff like that. From AWS. Again, that is kind of, it's a cool technology to see everything in 3D. Unfortunately, the technology is lacking a lot of functionality there as well. So you can only meet kind of 16 people at a time. So it doesn't scale. Also kind of try to do some conversations with other people. But again, back to the language problems for people. Again, it's a lot of background noise when you're in a room with 16 people and you can't kind of direct what you're listening to or who you're listening to. So it gets rather messy just to socialize in my view. So it's a cool technology, but it didn't work as expected from a conference point of view for me.
All right. So, Rolf, the same question as for Anders earlier, looking at the reInvent as a larger event, what are the key takeaways for you from reInvent so far? I know you've written some weekly updates around the reInvent.
Yeah, I think that like as a general note, there has been like a shift in how features are announced. Like 3-4 years ago, it was like that you would have like this main keynote and all the important announcement would be part of those keynotes. And like last 3-4 years, there has been a tilt in that less and less features. There's simply so many announcements that they don't fit. It would be only be like the announcements and not like leadership or vision or anything in the keynotes. And that is as equal, if not even more important part of why the keynotes exist. I mean, like the features from engineering standpoint of view, they are nice, but they are always like a means to an end. You're supposed to use those to your business needs or something useful, and not just for the sake of like having a technical enablement itself. So I just quickly checked that now the tally shows that it's like 111 or something thereabouts. I think that there's still missing few, and I was like maybe predicting of being somewhere around like 150 at like a steady pace, but we didn't actually see any announcements in the partner keynote. Usually there hasn't been too many in normal years either, but usually there are like some and more or less like announcements for geared towards partners or something. Well, you could argue that there was like yet another few competency programs announced. I don't necessarily like calculate those two as like feature announcements per se, but yeah, this is like what has been changing, and it is more or less like now a reInvent season. So there's like also like a pre-season that like 1 week, 2 weeks before reInvent, you already start seeing certain smaller things, and then afterwards you realize that okay, these were like building towards like the peak season, that these needed to be announced so that they could be used to provide this kind of functionality in the end. But yeah, and maybe like in Andy Jass's keynote, there was like he was talking about these like 8 different principles, and in machine learning keynote there were like 5 different tenets. I was maybe looking for some kind of story arc there from beginning to an end. Then like that like earlier years, this go build thing that which was mentioned by Werner as a closing note, that was like a big theme, like going through the whole conference, that everything was like about go build. And there didn't seem to be that kind of theme this year. Rather than like individual groups of people and individual tracks had like decided on theme for themselves. And maybe this is like a good segue also to commenting a little bit about like when Angela said that and Lezgin said that maybe there was like a ability to concentrate a little bit more, not spending time on the hallways and crawling from place to another. And I think that my experience was a little bit similar to Anders' experience, that when you're in Vegas, I don't necessarily miss being in Vegas, but I miss being in reInvent. Those are like, we all know why those two things are different from each other. And it is certainly a kind of a safety bubble where you go when you are at reInvent, because you are, for us, it's being on the completely opposite side of the globe and the opposite time zone. So there is nobody disturbing you, because people are essentially not at work when you are watching all the sessions and keynotes and what have you. So this year, that did not exist. I had all my normal duties and all the normal stuff in the agenda, and like trying to watch very late at night local time all the sessions. I don't think that how could I have made that work. And this is was like a realization that when you are at reInvent physically at Vegas, it doesn't matter so much that this is so US centric. But now, like the virtual format, it is clear that we as outsiders, we're a little bit like passengers like spectators from looking inside from the windows a little bit, and we've tried to build the interaction in other ways, like the heroes have the VR headsets, and that is one extent. A lot of Slack activity, a lot more than what has been during past years. But yeah, that's like, I guess that's the way it is. But like specifically, like when it comes to anything extracurricular activities, if you had any kind of those play activities in the agenda, those were all in the time slots that are simply not possible to attend to when you are at this time zone. It is fine. That's like the reality that what we have to deal with right now. But that's just like an observation that when you were physically there, it didn't matter that if you came from Finland or Sweden or from China or Korea or whatever. It was like when you're physically there, it was like equal opportunity. Now it's a little bit different.
It is. So, Lezgin, I want to get your take on something. I know that you at Daniel Wellington, you have developed a system for fraud detection, if I may call it that. And there were some releases early on during ReInvent now that are aimed at manufacturing, for instance. Have you looked at those service releases? Do you think that's something that would be use cases for Daniel Wellington?
Yes. So we basically built a solution on top of access cameras, talking to the IoT platform of AWS. And so the Panorama SDK is part of our project, that the outcome. Because Access saw that there was a kind of a big potential to work deeper with AWS instead of having all their customers to build their own stuff as we did. So definitely, because I was not really interested in building anything, but that was the only solution to do this. And I'm super interested to dig more into that when they are gonna announce a beta for that. But even they released another service for was that the one you referred to, the fraud part there, or because this one was about quality checks? Can't remember the name of that one.
Yes, that's right. No.
And anyway, but that one is definitely something I'm gonna connect with what we built on today to play around and see. It definitely looks really interesting. I think it was with 30 pictures in theory, of course, and was the minimum of having good and bad samples of parts from the manufacturer. So that I'm super excited to try that one out.
Yeah, and I guess that's a common theme for many of the releases we've seen, that they are releases that will help us build things without managing it ourselves. So things that we perhaps had to own the code for ourselves before are now becoming managed services. Not a new theme for this year, though. That's something we've seen throughout the years many times. So next then, this is not the end of ReInvent. We have a few more days now, and then there's a second wave in January, which you're probably aware of. So how are you going to spend this time? Are you going to watch sessions throughout the holidays, or are you going to take a break from ReInvent? Angela?
I'm probably gonna try and catch up with some of the sessions, and it's nice now that you also have people's recommendations, so I can filter down the sessions. So yeah, that's my plan for after next week. I took some days off so I can watch some sessions and learn some new things maybe. And then in January we have is it another 3 weeks?
3 or 4
week?
days.
I can't remember.
3 or 4 days. So
it's like reinventing forever. Like that's how I see it. It's like it's just gonna go the whole 2021.
Looking at the amount of
have
sessions out
ReInvent.
there, we'll probably have enough until ReInvent 2021. So, and you, Angela, you are a serverless hero, but a lot of the things that you work with and are interested in is around data and data stores. So I suppose that some of the sessions that you are interested in or are planning to watch are around that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always interested in data, and yeah, I mean, Andy he announced the Aurora serverless version 2, so that's exciting, and I want to try it out for sure. And yeah, I'm happy to see that they invest more in Aurora, and it makes sense since it's like their most used, or I can't remember exactly the line they always have when they talk about Aurora. But yeah, it's nice to see that they invest in the serverless version, because version 1 wasn't maybe there yet to be used at the large scale. So yeah, excited about that one. And I know today Rick Holohan has a session for DynamoDB and advanced patterns. So I'm definitely going to watch that like 5 or 6 times to actually get everything that he's saying. It's the case with any of his sessions, but I recommend them anyways, because usually you learn so much from him. So yeah,
you usually need a year between each ReInvent to learn everything that he goes through in his sessions. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I think anyone using DynamoDB should watch Rick's sessions always, but there is so much to learn about his advanced patterns for using DynamoDB, definitely. So, Rolle, how about you? Are you going to take the holidays off or planning on working a bit?
I plan to try to be off work. Like I've been writing and compiling most of our coverage on ReInvent, and like doing full day of work and then watching the keynote, and especially like the machine learning keynote and writing the blog post for that was really effort intensive. So they were like 14-15 hour long work days like during last few weeks, and this is now the last one of these really long days, and I'll still need to write after this stream the post about Werner's keynote. And for sure it's like I've clocked a lot of hours, but I also plan now to like take it easy for like this Friday. I'm gonna leave for holidays, and I'm not saying that I'm burying my phone and laptop somewhere for the 3 weeks, but I'll be back in the office only after like Epiphany next year. So that's my plan. But yeah, for sure. And it's not like that I haven't had time to watch any of the sessions. So I have like a few regulars, like Stephanie's security leadership session. That is always very high quality and actual leadership, that what he tells there. And this year it was a lot about like this more going towards zero trust policy, that don't simply trust like your network in regards of how you set up security for your applications, which was like more or less like the old school way of thinking, that if the perimeter and network are secure, then you can have like whatever in your networks. But that simply should not be the case. But a lot of a few other leadership sessions as well. Maybe my role in at my normal duties is the kind of one that where I benefit the most from the kinds of sessions that leadership sessions are. But I think that is also the strength of ReInvent, that the offering is so wide that there is something for everyone. And it's not like that. Even if I would make certain picks that these are like great sessions, that they would be like the best picks for everyone. No, it's not like that. So everyone needs to know that what they need to learn, and like the keynotes are like a great overall kind of leadership vision, that what you should be taking a look at, and applies for almost everyone's daily work. But then you just simply need to choose that where you specialize in, because like the offering is so vast, so nobody can know everything about everything anymore.
No, that's definitely right. It's becoming harder and harder to keep track of everything, not only around AWS, of course, but cloud and IT in general. It's you need to have your areas of expertise, more or less. So, Lezgin, how about you then? Are you planning on attending any sessions later today or during the week? What's next for you?
I have a few more during the week, but I've been quite good following them so far. So yeah, for me, it's there's just a few ones that I'm gonna check the video on demand ones, and yeah, maybe three or four more left. So I'm gonna play around with other stuff during the time off.
Right, I think that's that's good from a health perspective as well, to take some time off. Yeah. All right, to round this off, I want to ask you all a bit about the AWS community as well. So what are the plans for the AWS community? Have you made any plans for 2021? What are you doing in the Nordics? Or are you still so deep dived into ReInvent that you haven't gotten there yet?
Yeah, I guess that the ReInvent season is always like taking so much kind of focus from everyone that it's quite natural that like the normal activities are a little bit lower, and like these ReInvent focused ones are higher on priority. But I think that one thing that happened during this year is that we've had this concept of like AWS Community Nordics for relatively long time already. Like we felt that we need to have that we have that common spirit across the countries, and we are like so small individually in the cities and in the countries by ourselves, so it made sense to like start building something larger. And like the AWS Community Days Nordics edition, for example, was one step towards that, like actually building us as an individual community in the Nordics. And that has actually, in my opinion, has taken kind of extra steps during this global situation, when everyone was forced to work at remote setting in any case. So it didn't anymore matter that we couldn't be able to travel to different countries and different cities. And I guess that it would be fair to say that everyone will have some kind of battle fatigue at this point already. So we're all suffering in our own ways from the situation and not being able to be like who we used to be, and being in contact with people and having those like conversations. But we kind of turned that to a strength of sorts. So we decided that everyone kind of will take turns in organizing something, and then we will offer that to the whole of Nordic community. So we kind of split the responsibility a little bit and like combined our strengths, and we're able to kind of provide constant feed of some meaningful content for people around the Nordics. And we've actually had very successful online events, like where like over 100 people have gathered to listen to, and also very specific topics. So we kind of took the turn also that we didn't want to anymore like make very general speeches and general meetups that would everyone would want to attend to, and there would be something for everyone. And taking like, for example, we had one online meetup about like gaming development, and there were a lot of people also not directly involved in gaming development joining because they wanted to understand that if there would be something that they could learn. So these are kind of the strengths that have actually, the situation has forced us to kind of change a little bit our approach. And I think that this is what we will take also to year 21, that we will continue working as a single AWS Nordics community, in addition of being local communities. And when the situation stabilizes, maybe we have something here that we will continue the Nordic cooperation in some way or another, even if we can then start with the normal local meetups as well.
Yeah, anything to add, Angela, Lezgin?
Yeah, no, I think it was a great thing to combine all the Nordics communities and to share these meetups, because then more people can enjoy the talks. So I definitely like that. And as Rolf mentioned, it also takes a bit of the stress out, because we didn't have to like create a meetup every month or something like that. Like each of the leader will go and like find someone or like organize the meetup, and then the others would just share it in their community as well. So it was really great to have these. And I mean, one nice thing with having everything online now is also that we can find speakers that are not necessarily from our region. So that's something nice, because I know when I was looking for speakers, I invited Anahid, and she's based in Helsinki, but since it's online, it didn't matter. So yeah, that's like one positive from this whole situation. But I hope we'll get to plan more meetups in 2021, and maybe some about the new releases that we've got. Like maybe people get to play with some of the previews and so on. So let's see what we'll get next year.
Yeah. And I suppose one good thing with all of this is that the ways we can do meetups, do conferences and so on, it has evolved quite a lot. The tools are getting better and better at handling it. It's easier to set something up. And that's perhaps something to use even when, as you said, Rolf, the situation is better. Hybrid type events and so on. So Lezgin, you finally then, as the user group leader in Stockholm. So
yeah, I will copy paste what Angela and Rolf said. they actually said all the good parts. So I just totally agree on what they said. But yeah, still missing the social part there. So maybe we'll figure out a way on how to I don't know, kick alive the Slack channels so it doesn't die after ReInvent, because I think that part has been quite good to get the different recommendations on the different talks. Also got some good recommendations from you, Gunnar, following you on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm trying to put out some stuff there as well. That's right. All right. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, Rolf, Angela, Lezgin, and I hope you have a great rest of ReInvent and then the holidays coming up.
Yeah, thank you, Gunnar, for organizing this.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. Thanks.